Okay, guys, welcome back to the Free Thought Experiment. I'm your host, Luis Fernandez. I hope you all have been enjoying the videos. More videos are coming. I usually try to post every Friday and Sunday. If you all don't follow us on Twitter, that's something you should be doing. Follow us at Free Thought EXP. We love criticism. We love you guys. Please enjoy this video. Today, we have a special guest, a really special guest, something that I like to talk about, which is the news and political biases in the news. We have Daniel Montez from RGV 10 News here to have a conversation with us on episode 2 of the conversation on the Free Thought Experiment, to talk about a little bit what he does, how he manages to go day to day with all this political news going on in the Valley. Without further ado, here you go, Daniel Montez. Hey, Daniel, how are you doing?
Hello, guys. My name is Daniel Montez. As Luis said, I run RGV 10 News, so you probably see some of my stories across all social media platforms.
Okay. Do you want to keep going? If you can keep going, you can do it. Okay, no problem. All right, Daniel, so I brought you today because I've actually seen you on RGV. I've seen you do segments on RGV 10 News on Twitter, and I really like what you do. Tell us a little bit of how you got started with this. Like, what made you want to start being a news reporter, or do you think of yourself as a news reporter? What would you?
I've been considered as a reporter before, with people who have contacted with. They said, well, like, you're reporting, and they told me that I'm like a journalist for them.
Yeah. And you're mostly focused on just like the Valley news, or do you like to go like nationwide news or state news?
I'm sorry. On RGV 10, I focus more like on the Rio Grande Valley news, but I have another page, my news personality page called our Daniel Montez page. That's the name of my other page on Facebook, and that's where I usually talk about Valley news and national news. But mostly, RGV 10 News is the main page I'm working on. Okay.
Yeah, and what would you say? What would you say is different from you and RGV 10 News and what you do as opposed to KRGV News or these big network channels that are still Valley News, but they're a little bit have a bigger network and they're better marketed on TV. What makes you so different? Because I myself, I do like yours because it's on Twitter. I don't really see that many KRGV News on Twitter and stuff like that. But I am a real big fan. But what are you doing differently than other news sources that really brings you out?
Well, what I normally do, it's not that I'm like different from them. It's more like me just being on social media. I'm not like on broadcasting, like on television just yet.
Okay.
So mostly the difference is probably just that they're on TV, I'm on social media, and I try some things to also post when there's something like a big scandal here in the Valley. I usually put it on my YouTube channel as well, and that YouTube channel, that's getting me to hoping once when I put those videos, my stories on that YouTube channel, I like to use those for my resume. So usually I'm more like the social media type, technology type than TV type. I would love to be on TV, by the way.
You'd love to be on TV?
Yeah.
And let's say you talked about a resume and all this stuff about what you're doing in your YouTube channel. Your goal, I'm assuming here. I'm assuming. I don't like to assume because sometimes, how they say that saying that goes, don't assume because it makes an ass out of you and me. But I do want to ask, because I'm assuming here, like I said, that you just said you want to be on news and you have a plan to get there one day, right?
Oh yes,
so
of course.
Tell us a little bit about what your plan is.
That's right. First of all, I started this in 2016.
Oh, 2016.
It started it was very small page. I didn't think it will actually be growing on social media. And I started off with probably 12 likes, and it started moving up to now down on Facebook right now. I have about 7,000 or 8,000 followers right now, and it keeps growing. So that's how I'm like building more like relationships with people, with a lot of public officials to get me. So I like to put them in my resume. So whenever I'll put in my resume, I'll let you already add. I'm already in contact with sources for, so they won't have to like start me off fresh. Like I'm new to this, so that's why I like to build relations. That's why I started this, so I can start building relationships with the public information officers, captains of the fire chiefs, and I have built a lot of relationships among them. So I like to use that on my resume.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's awesome to hear. Like they say, you got to network. I mean, they say you can be the smartest guy in the room, you can be the person with the greatest inventions, but if you don't have a network, if you don't have a plan to put yourself out there, to get to know those people that you need to get to know that can help you out, I mean, it's basically nothing that you have, you know? It's about having knowing what you have, getting what you have, and putting that to good use. Now that we know a little bit more about your background, everything, how you're starting, how you're saying, you know, your page, your Twitter page especially, is growing at a bigger rate. Let's talk about like the news, your ideas, because this is the whole thing about this segment. There's a whole thing about my YouTube channel and my Twitter page. This is all about putting ideas out there. Now, the idea I want to discuss that I've been seeing all over nationwide news, Valley news, is just the idea of political bias. Now, I'm gonna put a little bit of my opinion here. Like I said, I don't like to put that much of my opinion. But I do want to go ahead and let people know I am a conservative, a social conservative when it comes to social values. I'm very conservative, but when it comes to policies, I'm very libertarian. So what I wanted to talk about is, and this issue that's all around the world. I don't want to say all around the world because I don't live in China, but I do, especially here in the U.S. There's this whole idea that a lot of our news networks are being like poisoned with political biases. Now, my view on that is I think networks should be allowed to have political biases. I do think having a political bias doesn't necessarily make you a bad reporter. I do think that the distinction that needs to be made is when you have a political bias, you have to put your political bias out there. And when you, as a news network, have a political bias and pretend you do not, I think that's when you start harming people, because people have to know basically your agenda or the agenda you're trying to push so they can make better sense of the news that you're putting out there. What would you say to that? What is your view on political bias on news and reporting on stories, or maybe even some experience that you've had with that?
Well, there has been a few political news I've covered before, such as I don't really want to mention the city name, but you may know what's in talking about. That's okay. A city here in the Valley where its mayor got arrested or turned himself in due to voter fraud. And when I posted that, somebody once commented or messaged me on my page telling me, why is that news? And I replied, well, it's a political news, and this person is not just a member of the public, but he's like government body. So that's how I usually get in. But there has been a few other times where I usually try not to get into political news. But if I have to, I have to. If it's like an arrest, if it's like a big scandal that I'm seeing that everybody else is doing it, so like might as well like me also do it as well. But there's been incidents where I am told stuff like, why are you like doing this for like officials, like, because they're public members. They're not just members of the public, but they're also government bodies where honestly think that they should be accountable. They should be accountable.
They should be held. Yeah, I agree with you. I do think that government bodies should be held accountable.
Exactly.
But the question I'm trying to ask, and I love the way you put that, like how you're saying that sometimes you don't like to get into political bias or whatever. But sometimes, like, let me ask you this. Let me put it this way. When it comes to do you know the spectrum of right or left?
Kind of, I guess, yeah.
Yeah, and I'm not going to judge you for it. Like I said, I have friends all over the place, and I love having these conversations with anyone. Yeah, but where would you say you lie more, on the left side or the right side? Left being more liberal and right being more conservative and such like that, having more conservative values. Where would you say you lie between?
I say more liberal.
More liberal? And that's okay. That's awesome. I myself am a libertarian. I'm not conservative, and I'm not smack down in the middle of being, you know, perfect or whatever. But I am more closer to the right, but not so far right. I'm a little bit to the left. You know, understand? Yeah, because you have like the left, and then you have the right, and then you have the smack down middle, which is perfect. Which in my opinion, no one is smack down in the middle. I think we all have our biases. And then I'm somewhere over here between the middle and the right, somewhere a little bit closer to the right, though, if you know what I mean, if you can get a picture of that. So what I'm trying to get with that is, what do you think about news networks and stuff like that that do have a political bias? Because everyone has a political bias. And what do you think about them acting like they don't have a political bias? Like, do you think that news reporters should be what's it called, vocal about their political biases or their left-leaning ideologies? What's your opinion on that? Like, should they? Mm-hmm.
I'm sorry, what?
Oh, so I was just gonna say, like, for example, some people say that news reporting should be completely objective, just present the facts, and have no what's it called, pushing on about opinions or anything like that. I believe that news should have opinions in it. It should have ideas there. The thing that I want to distinguish, though, is that news networks that put in their opinions should be up in front and say where those ideas come from, if they're left-leaning, right-leaning. For example, if a news reporter leans to the left and they write an op-ed or they report on some news and they present it with their ideology, but then they go and tell the people, I'm being completely objective. Y'all should trust me. Don't listen to them because I'm objective. What do you have to say about that, or how that deals with how you report? Mm-hmm.
Well, I believe that we each have our each have our opinion, mm-hmm. But I say that I kind of agree when where the part where we got our own objective, but we also like to see we like to put our opinions aside too.
Mm-hmm. Okay, yeah, and now moving on from that, because that was actually a good conversation. I like that conversation. I love having that conversation with anyone that I have. Yeah. What is your opinion on how the government, based on what you have seen, has handled the pandemic going on right now? Because I know everyone watching and everyone that might watch this right now is either quarantined or has been affected in some way or another with the coronavirus. Tell us a little bit about how you see the government here in the Valley taking care of that situation. Is it a good job? Is it a bad job? Are they doing just okay? What's your opinion on that?
Oh, my opinion is that I believe that our officials here in the Valley are doing okay right now. They are being, I want to say, they're not usually on time with their new numbers, but they're going to. Well, just now, Hidalgo County had already gotten in just a few days ago back. Hidalgo County has already started getting into detail of. I'm not sure if we saw the new breakdown chart that they had that they started doing a few days ago, and
which one?
I don't hear. I'm sorry, but they have started already doing breakdowns of how many people are still in the hospital, how many people are...
Yeah. Oh, the one that goes, it says how many people have been infected in total, how many daily cases, how many deaths, how many have recovered, and how many are hospitalized.
Yeah, and I like that because I know I wasn't the only one who wanted more information on this. Before they'll just give us a simple chart with the name, I'm sorry, not the name, the location of the person, the age, and the gender. And that's how we would see. And now that Hidalgo County started doing it, it's better for us that we can actually break it down to the people who are usually watching our stories. But Cameron County, I'm the same. they've been doing a great job. I agree with other people who have said that Cameron County has been I want to say more like proactive with making their charts, and I like that, and the other counties as well.
Yeah, I think those charts are really important. I like the progress they've been making. I'm not gonna say that I don't like the chart. What I would like to see from the chart, which is really important, which I don't see anyone covering this nationwide news, is that right now we're in the talks of reopening the economy. You know, everyone is Texas Governor Abbott from Texas, he put out a plan, to reopen the economy, and I haven't kept it up because he did say he was going to make some announcements on the 22nd or 24th. But I had seen his other proposals that before the 22nd, that was reopening state parks, reopening some businesses with social distancing guidelines, creating a strike force to monitor, Texas and the local areas to, target hotspots. And also, there's one more thing. I always forget that last one. But I know it had to deal with something with sanitation. But what I would like to see from the Valley, especially, because we're having these charts, is the infection rates per age group and per what's it called, like health conditions. Because there's talks right now saying, hey, if you have pre-existing conditions, you're vulnerable. If you're above 65, you're vulnerable. The question I have there is, what if you're under 65? If you're 45, what's the percentage there? If you're 30, what's the percentage there? What are the pre-existing conditions? Is it diabetes? Is it obesity? And if it's obesity, what is the target weight per height that you would be at risk? I think that the Valley should be focusing on those specific specific areas to break it down, per age group. What's the percentage per age group? Because, for example, I think I had read somewhere on the news that this new study came out, said that for people older than 65, your chances of dying are 10% if you catch the virus, which is really bad, and then as you go down every 10 years, I believe, it goes down exponentially. So my question would be to the Valley, to find out is by how much, if you're 18, is your chances of dying from the coronavirus kind of like dying from a car accident? In that case, I would say, let's reopen the economy a little bit, what's it called? Not earlier, but not worry so much about opening the economy. But what's your opinion on Texas opening the economy and some other states opening the economy at this rate?
Well, I don't really agree with it because I believe that is only going to make stuff worse. With I saw a picture of South Carter Island, a picture that actually sent to me of there was people who were in the beach, and they sent me a picture, and I don't know if it was from today. That's the problem, that where they didn't have no masks, and they were too close to each other. And I still don't know if that picture was from today. But if it was from today, I think that it was. I think they're like already violating the order for not wearing masks. But that's something I don't really agree with. Our governor actually doing this.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, and that's a fair opinion. I've seen people say that. The way I look at it, because I like to present the facts, and like I said, I'm very conservative. But I do, for example, I'm not on board with all the states like Georgia. I know Georgia was talking about opening up bowling alleys. And I don't know if it was movie theaters, but I know for sure it was bowling alleys. And I was kind of like, I'm not sure about that one, because just the fact that everyone, puts their hands in the bowling ball, they touch their face and stuff like that. The only way I can see that working is, if you have one person, cleaning the bowling balls after everyone, which would be, kind of hard to keep track of. It would be almost impossible to keep track of every bowling ball that has been used and cleaned. I think a way to combat that would be, going to the front and registering with a bowling ball, like, maybe 5 balls per family, and you have to turn in those 5 balls there so they can be clean and then pass. Kind of like HEB, how they wipe down the cards.
Yeah.
After everyone uses, someone gets a card that's been wiped out, they come back, return that card, they wipe it down, and someone else can use it. Kind of like that, a system like that would be really good in place. The thing here in Texas that I think I'm not a huge proponent of reopening the economy. I think we need to open the economy, but I'm not a person that says like, let's open everything right now.
Yeah.
I think it could be done in a safe manner, in a safe, slow manner, to make sure that these hotspots and these outbreaks don't happen. What I do like to bring up is that, for example, we like to compare New York, which, oh my God, New York has been hit. God bless their souls, but to compare that to here in Texas, I don't think it's kind of fair, because New York is super densely populated, and here we're not as, we're not on top of each other. And the way I like to compare us is like California. I think California, a lot of people have been looking at New York saying, yeah, they've done a great job, but actually, I think I think they've done an okay job. I don't think they've done a great job, but I think the person and the state that's done like one of the best jobs has to be California. If you like look at California, they have the big city, Los Angeles, San Francisco, and all these big cities, and they did not have a huge outbreak like New York. It was very minimal. They were not overrun, and Governor Gavin Newsom, I believe he had ramped up PPE and all this equipment and ventilators super quick. So when I talk about reopening in Texas, I believe it's very different from comparing it there. And I don't think it's a bad thing, because if we think about it, there's some families that some people say, well, you should have saved up. I've seen some people use that on Facebook, and they go like, they should have saved up, but not my family. Thank God my family's not in that situation, but you do see some families that they live paycheck to paycheck, and they have to go back to work and have some sort of income, because the supply chains are being disrupted. And if we don't have the supply, because people aren't working, then there's no good in having the stimulus money. So when I think about reopening the economy, I think it has to be in a safe way. And like you said, you just saw a picture that was sent to you that people like at the beach not wearing masks and stuff like that. And the way I see it is, I think there's like that 5% of people that don't listen. I mean, even right now we have these lockdowns here, and there's like, they say don't have parties, but there's like that 5% that you hear that they're having a party next door or something like that. Yeah, and I think that's with everything. I think even if you open up the economy, there's going to be that 5% that don't listen. But I do think, and I have faith in the American people and people in Texas, that they will follow these social distancing guidelines and be safe at the same time. And the way I see it is, we should lock up the old people. Like my grandma.
Oh, yeah.
I've been joking around with her, and I've been saying, kind of joking around, but being serious. But kind of joking around. But I've been telling her how I'm like, I'm going to lock the door. I'm going to lock you in your room. You're not coming out. And then, and I told her, I'm not going to go out either, because I don't want to come and bring it to you.
Exactly.
So the way I see it is, you lock down, people don't have a source of income. You open up, and you can still stay home if you decide to. You won't get the virus. Your grandparents will get the virus. Just make sure you don't go out, if they're that scared. Now, when you look at younger age groups, there's still a chance of them dying, but it's very small. It's like almost dying in a car crash. I think I saw a number there. Might be wrong. Don't quote me on that. If I'm wrong, put it on the comments and make sure people see that. I'll retweet it if I'm wrong, if you have the real number. But I have been seeing that, young people aren't that affected by the virus. So the idea is to let the young people work so they can get money to provide for their families, and then provide assistance to the people that have vulnerable people locked down at home. For example, me and my grandma that decide to stay home because they're vulnerable, I think the government should provide them with assistance to get food. And the young people that are able to work and do not have risk, I believe they should be put to work. And if they don't have any family that's vulnerable, and as long as they practice social distancing. But like, again, I stress that they need to follow social distancing. Like you said, there is a problem that has to be faced. that, you know, there's going to be that 5% that don't listen, like that picture you're talking about. And I think I don't like the idea of law enforcement cracking down on them, but I do think they should get a citation or something, or the park should be saying, hey, make sure you all stay together. Now, if it's a family, like, for example, my family of 6 that we all live together, and we all decide to go to the beach, and we're all together, and it looks like that's another thing, too. Like, it could be a family, but I don't know. But what's your idea of that idea? I know I just went on a huge rant, but I want to explain the idea. I want to explain the idea thoroughly. But what's your opinion on that idea? You know, let the young people work, lock down the most vulnerable people with existing conditions, elderly people, and people that live with elderly people, lock them down, and the government provide them assistance, while the young people that are not at risk or at high risk, very low risk, put them to work. That way the supply chains aren't disrupted. What's your opinion on that? What's your take on that?
You know, I agree on that, actually. But I think I agree on that, as I said, but it'd probably be a little hard for them to do that because I know a lot of people are not staying in the listen. Yeah. Just like how they see shelter in place, the shelter in place holder only go out for sensitive reasons. I've seen a lot of people who have been ticketed or have been ticketed in for not complying. So I think that, I agree with it, what you're saying, but I don't think it would work because since a lot of people aren't listening right now, what make it seem they don't listen there, you know what I mean? But I actually,
I know what you mean.
I actually really agree with that, and I think that'll be
good. And that's a big problem. What do we do about the people that don't listen? You know, and that's a discussion that we need to start having, because what I see a lot. Like, I love that you say, like, hey, and if you don't agree with me, that's okay. You can say, you know. But
I actually agree with you, actually.
Yeah, I like that you're saying, like, hey, this is a good idea, but let's talk about this thing that, you know, is flawed. And I agree with you there. You know, there is a flaw. That 5% that I'm talking about that won't listen, what do we do about them? And how do they play a role in how this plan is going to take effect? So, and that's what I like about this whole segment that I do, that, you know, you see going around people, you know, just mention the word reopen the economy and they get shut down. Like, no, you're crazy. No, this and that. No, we got to lock down. And here it's the exact opposite. You know, I gave you my idea. You're like, yeah, that's a good idea, but let's talk about this. That's flawed. And then I'm here like, yeah, that's a flaw right there that we need to start talking about, because once we have that basis that we agree on, once we have that idea that we agree on, we can start moving forward on what we disagree on. Yeah. You know? And that's what I see a problem with, you know, on social media and everywhere that we go to. The big problem is we have an idea, and because it's different from what you thought, we automatically shut it down. And have you had any experience like that when you're news reporting, that you put out an idea there, or you talk to someone that has an opposing view from you and they just shut you down? And what has been your experience on how you handle that?
Oh, I've gotten a lot of, I like to call it negativity or bad comments or bad messages, actually, where, I mean, I kind of give my opinion, but I have gotten people who tell me, well, I don't agree with your effing opinion. I'm like, okay, and then I'll usually tell them, okay, and I'll usually tell them, well, we are each entitled to our own opinion, and I understand that, but I understand the concern. And well, there's times where they get back to me even more mad, but I've gotten a lot of messages with me kind of doing my opinion, and people not agreeing with me. Also, I've seen when I'm posting something that might kind of cause, I don't want to say controversy. I'm sorry. Somebody with something I know it is, I kind of post it, but hoping it will not actually cause one. Where in the comments, somebody gives their opinion, and another person attacks them for giving their opinion, and it goes from there. Where I see like people arguing. I'm like, shucks it for not having for not agreeing with their own opinion.
Yeah, and it's not necessarily an argument. Like I love argument. Like I've been talking about every video I make here. I say, hey, if you don't agree, go ahead and comment below. And if you don't agree with them, comment to them. Yeah. You know, it's good to have an argument, but it's not good is to shut that person down. Like where you say someone has an opposing idea and comments under you, and under them, someone says, shut up, or you don't know what you're talking about. That's not constructive at all. But having an argument, I think an argument and debating, I think there's a certain time for arguing and debating. I think social media is a good place to argument and debate. I think the place where you don't argue and debate is kind of like this segment they do. If you just want a nice, chill, relax to get to kind of like a conclusion where we're on the same page, I think there has to have a conversation and a civil discussion. I think you can argue your opinions. If you don't want to get something done, you argue and you argue and you argue, so you can express your opinions.
Exactly.
But I believe to come to a solution, you need to have a discussion, a civil discussion. Know the differences. Find a base where you're the same, or where you agree on, and kind of build on from there, and kind of say, well, I think we should do this next, and kind of go step by step. And there you should have many arguments. But if you have a civil discussion, it's not going to go out of proportion where you say, shut up, I don't agree with you,
Oh, yeah.
And we're almost running out of time, and I've loved these last couple of 10, 15 minutes. They've been amazing, the kind of stuff that we're talking about. But we do have to end at some point. This can't go on forever. I don't have that much space on my laptop. But but my last thing to ask you is, what advice do you give for people that want to be like a news reporter like you, that want to put their opinions out there and want to take their next level in their professional career? What advice would you give to them?
I say, so as far as the dreams, I say get to know people so you can start building relationships. Just like me, I'm very good friends with a lot of the reporters here in the Valley, and that also gives me more relationship with their stations. So if I reply with any of the stations, I can easily say they can say, oh, I've seen Daniel in several occasions and in meetings or scenes where they'll actually be able to get me a little help me out to get a job as well. But for those people, like I'm saying, you can always have them build relationships, create your own blog like mine, put your own opinions, and just that there's always going to be people who are not going to agree with you, but that's just all part of the industry. I'm not sure if I gave it in the right direction.
Yeah, no, I mean, whatever direction you want to take it.
Yeah. This
is your opinion. I'm not going to, shoot you down because that's what you believe in. But I believe that's all we have for today. Thank you so much, Daniel, for having this discussion. If you all like this video, go ahead and leave a like and subscribe to the channel. Help us grow. We want to grow with you all. I love you all so much for listening. Leave a comment below if you want a special guest to come on here. Who should I interview next? Again, I want to thank you so much, Daniel, for coming and joining us on this conversation. I wish you the best on your professional career as a news reporter, and I hope to see you. I hope to see you on TV one day and say, "Hey, I interviewed that guy."
Yeah.
Have a good one. Okay.
Thank you.
All right, guys, as you can see, we had another successful conversation with Daniel Montez from RGV10 News. Again, as I said, leave a like and subscribe on the video. If you like this, let me know what you all think. Share this with your friends. Follow us on Twitter at FreeThoughtEXP. I hope to see y'all next time. I try to upload every Friday and Sunday. Sundays, we do have the conversation segments. This is episode 2. So stay tuned for more.